Darryl, you were down here in 2015 speaking at the Source Church up in Bradenton. What brings you back this time?
Well, just about the same thing. You have a men's conference this week. I'm looking forward to that. The Source Church, dear friends of myself and my wife, Pastors Ralph and Joanne, and you know, this is our first time gathering together, you know, to try to bring men together and just really try to encourage them and really try to empower them.
What is your message to these men? I'm sure they're going through difficulties. Can they relate to you? And what is your central message to these guys?
Well, we all have difficult times. You know, life is very difficult, but you want to encourage them that there's a great purpose and there's a great promises. The great promises over their life is real, because I'm a prime example of living the promises of God in my life today, and they can too. I mean, and it's free. I mean, it's not going to cost them anything. I mean, I think a lot of times we think change costs you so much, and I used to think the same way until I realized I started really participating in a different way of life and seeing things from a different perspective, and then life really changed for me in such a way that God has given me a platform to use, you know, to encourage other men and let them know that you haven't missed the mark. See, sometimes we think we missed the mark, but none of us missed the mark. We just fall a little bit short. And we need to learn how to get back up and rejuvenate ourselves.
Are these men familiar with your baseball career? I mean, do they look at you with like a fan's look, and are they familiar with your difficulties you've gone through in your life?
I'm quite sure they are. It's not hard to figure out who I was as a Major League Baseball player and all the things I accomplished on the baseball field and all the failures of life for myself. But I get to travel the country and, you know, speak in front of thousands and thousands of men and able to, you know, share, you know, my brokenness of who I was as a baseball player, but how did I become a man, you know, was through my faith. And hopefully I can be a positive impact from most that are struggling today to see that it is real, because I've lived it not for a short time, I've lived it for a long time. You know, and I'm just grateful for wonderful people and wonderful friends and my wife and people who are in my life today. That makes me stay on the right page of life, you know, because life is very challenging and, you know, it can get overwhelming at times, and it's just a matter of do you stay encouraged and do you stay focused on what's important. So I really try to stay focused on really what's important, and that's helping others, because I think that's the most important thing for all of us to be able to do, is go back and encourage others and help others.
Talk about your itinerary, your weekly or monthly. Do you travel around the country a lot, speaking, different cities? Are you always on the move?
I'm always on the move. I was just on the road for the last 3 weeks. My traveling schedule it's a calling. You know, it's a great calling to be able to try to fulfill. I can't fulfill it, but the great God through me, He fulfills it through me, and He sends me all over, and I get opportunity to go to places that I could never imagine. I even go back into the maximum security prisons and Rikers Island and places like that, and speak and try to bring hope and encourage to those who are really broken and lost. And it's great to be able to know that we all are here for a purpose to make a difference in someone else's life. You know, that's the good thing about it. If we can understand that as a man, when you've been restored, you need to go back and help another man get restored so he can find the wholeness and happiness too.
Would the 22 and 23-year-old Darryl Strawberry recognize you're my age, the 56-year-old Darryl Strawberry? And what would the young Strawberry's reaction to this older, wiser, cleaner, more mature Strawberry be?
He wouldn't have never listened. You know, anyone's at the age of 21, 22, they have a very hard time listening, especially in today's society with social media and outlets and, you know, athletes and celebrities, whoever they are. They think it never comes to an end when you're 21, 22. And not until you reach that middle part, you start thinking a little bit more, well, it's coming to an end. But it's like more, what do I do after it's over? You know, that 22-year-old thought it was going to last forever. And sometimes, you know, people don't have a really clue or idea what life is really all about, because in reality, when you at the height of your career and you're successful and you have everything, all you have accumulated is a bunch of stuff. And at the end of the day, you go back home one day and you look at yourself and you say to yourself, well, who am I? What's the purpose of my life here? And you have to figure that out, because one day the uniform must come off, and I remember my wife, Tracy, who's sitting here over there, told me that one day, you're going to have to take the uniform off and find out who you are and identify yourself as who you are as a man. And that was the most profound thing I ever heard. I heard a lot of people say a lot of things, but I never heard anyone tell me that. And realistic, when I took it off and started looking at who am I, then I found the purpose of why I was here.
18-year-old, Crenshaw High School, #1 draft pick in the whole country. 3 years later, you're in New York City, the weight of New York on your shoulders. How tough was that to deal with? I mean, it must have been coming at you a million miles a minute.
Well, it's very challenging. The expectations were high. Of course, I was coming out of high school. I was labeled as the Black Ted Williams, and so those expectations were really high. And playing in New York, the expectations are going to be even higher, once you get to that place because of so much media attention that you have to deal with. Had I had the opportunity to play in a place like Seattle or somewhere like that, I probably could have hid away from the media, but I couldn't hide. I was 6'6", and I had a swing like Ted Williams. I was black, I can run, so there was nowhere to hide. The only place I can hide is in the clubhouse at times, but when I had to step on the field, the pressure was there, the expectations were there. But I'm kind of grateful for it because it made me stronger today. See, sometimes we don't know the preparation of life and going through the different avenues of life that we have to go through. We don't know what they prepare us for. But New York prepared me for so much more than just playing baseball. It prepared me how to deal with adversities and the challenges that you're going to face in life, and it teaches you a lot of things. You have to be extremely careful what you ask for, because a lot of people say they want to play in New York, but they don't really understand that the expectations are great, and if you don't, the fans will run you out of New York too. And I was just one of those guys happened to be loved by the fans, and they never ran me out of New York.
Without delving into the many demons you had, you were in a city that maybe could accommodate those demons more than other cities. Do you get involved just to be in the fast lane, or do you remember how those demons first rose up, and why did they do that in you?
Well, I think it does it in anybody. You're 21, you're 22 years old, and you go in there and you win Rookie of the Year, and then they throw you an $8 million contract. So what do you expect to do? You expect to live. You expect to have fun because you think this is going to last forever, and nothing lasts forever. And that's what a lot of us don't think. We think this life lasts forever, but it doesn't, and baseball doesn't last forever. The demons of playing in New York is real. The temptations are real. Wherever you go, when you play in a place like New York and you become as good as like we were at such a young age, myself, Doc Gooden, and that New York Met team, and the notoriety that we got, it was like we were like rock stars. We were like the Beatles coming into town. Every time we went into, everybody wanted a piece of us. So every door was open. And one thing you learn at the professional level like that, there is no no's. There's always yes. You could do whatever you want because of your success and because of who you become. And for us, that's what it was like. Everywhere we went, it was just like, it was insane. It was like girls all over the place. It was drugs all over the place. It was partying all over the place. And it was just a lifestyle that we all got consumed in so many different ways. And then it starts to affect you. It's eventually going to affect your life from the lifestyle that is so fast and so tempting. You're going to find yourself doing things that you never could imagine yourself do because you get caught up into the midst of so many difficult situations.
Is that why the Mets only won one World Series? I mean, you won it in '86. I don't know how the heck that team won it because I read about, all the stuff that went on. Is that why you only won one World Series? The off-the-field activities sort of superseded everything?
Well, I think we underestimated ourselves at times, because we were so good. And we could just beat anybody on any given day. You didn't have to get rest. You can just come straight to the ballpark and play. That's how good we were. And I think the '88 series, we lost it. We shouldn't have never lost it to the Dodgers. We should have won more. We should have won more championships. No question about it. But '86 we won, and then you had '87 we come back and we had all the injuries to our pitching staff. So you have to stay healthy too. But we were good enough to win, and we just couldn't pull it together. I mean, I think some games that we should have won, and we know that we should have won, we gave away, and that cost us a lot. A lot of times because of our late nights of hanging out and having hangovers. Of course, for me, I know it was for me personally. there was a real struggle at times in games that I should have been better at.
Well, that sort of leads to one of my final questions, Darryl. You had 335 home runs, 1,000 ribbies, 8-time All-Star. If you didn't have the demons, would you be up there near Ruth and Aaron? Should you be? I mean, did you feel your career was not fulfilled because of maybe the demons you had?
Well, I mean, I could have fulfilled my career better had I not, chased women and went out drinking and partying. There's no question about it. I mean, I did all that with those stats. I did all that with, just living a loose life. Yeah. And had I known how good I was, I would have took better care of myself. I just didn't take better care of myself. I just wanted to party. I wanted to have fun. But when I stepped on the baseball field, I felt like I could still produce. And I would have produced more had I not fell through the cracks of so many struggles and get into the midst of addiction and get heavy into cocaine and all the things that I got involved in, because I got involved in some serious drugs that took me in a different direction and took me in a place where I just really didn't care about myself or care what was going to happen to me.
Last question. It seems like your life path going forward is set. You and your wife, you know what your mission, you know what your goal is. Are you at peace with yourself? Are you at peace with what the rest of your life looks like it's going to be?
Well, it's not my peace, it's God's peace.
Right.
And God has given me peace that surpasses all understanding. So I get to live a different way. I don't get to live under my standards. I get to live under His standards, and that's what's so encouraging. When you learn the biblical principles, you get to live under a different standing, and it's not yours. It's such a greater place to be in than to be in your own head and talk about you. Because a lot of times we think we're that important, and we're really not. Because a lot of times, people don't really understand. God doesn't need me. He wants me, but He doesn't need me. And that's the thing I love about Him. He doesn't need me, but He wants me to be well, and He wants me to be able to be at His peace. And so you can do the things that He has created you to do to make a difference in somebody else's life. Because at the end of the day, this life does not belong to us. It belongs to Him. And when we give our life back to Him and give ourselves to Him, we die and we become alive. And now we get to operate in such a great capacity and great purpose of making a difference in someone else's life.
Well, I know you're making a difference in a lot of people's lives, and just glad you stopped on by and shared a little bit of your message with us.
Well, thanks. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you guys having me. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Darryl. All right.